Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, thank you for being amazing moderators. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very interesting topic to talk about, and I have a question for everyone. And to my super chat, thank you. I can't do this without you. To the super chat, I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding like some networks that claim to be democratic socialists. You'll never find wealthier people than American socialists. They're the wealthiest people on the planet. They don't like capitalism, but my God almighty, they're wealthy. So to my super chat, thank you. I can't do this without you. I have a question for everybody here. Eric and Luke, everybody, hello. Why is it that all of media, like 90+% of media, like 90% of media will cover up a story, will just simply cover up a story and sweep it under the rug, cover it up, and work to assist. They're working to assist one political party, to help one political party. Why is that? I can explain that to you from my vantage point. Give me your vantage point below in the chat, and also on the upload. Why is it that you have, Odraz, hello. Why is it that you have a story about an Arizona Democrat state senator who is arrested? Luke, Eric, hello. Who is arrested, awaiting trial now, out on $50,000 bond. But, I mean, it would be $1 million bond if it was a Florida Republican or Jim Jordan or anyone else or Gates. Like, this is how it works. When the actual reality of Biden, our beloved President Biden, being accused for doing what Trump talked about in a hot mic isn't as egregious. Isn't as egregious as the notion that Trump might have, or probably, or could have done something in the minds of morally superior liberals. Morally superior liberal Democrats. They're morally superior to you. Don't you understand? They're the educated ones. They're the morally superior. Don't you understand? They exude this moral superiority, condemnation, judgment. They pontificate and they judge. That's what they're born to do. They're born to do it. If you can give me that reference, born to do it. If you could give me that reference, that'd be fantastic. But why is it that innuendo, conjecture, hyperbole, rumor, gossip, hearsay, that's more important? That's more important than an actual crime? Like, you have, now, Tony Navarrete could be innocent, but there are court documents that show that on a police recording, he admitted to the despicable activity. So, if you had that amount of evidence, you had that kind of evidence, and it's a Trump Republican, you better believe it would be on every single network. Sean, thank you. I hope all is well. To my UK viewers, thank you. Thank you, Sean. Die, hello. Sean, thank you. You better believe that if it was a Republican or anyone associated with Trump, this is not somebody that, this was a rising star within the Arizona Democratic Party. Okay, I want to see what he thought. Maybe he might have said something about the recount. I want to hear this. Could you imagine Like, there was more condemnation about the recount, the Arizona recount. There was far more condemnation and judgment and contempt. Far more condemnation and judgment than what the arrest and the possible and likely conviction for 6 felonies on crimes that I can't talk about on YouTube because they're too despicable. And nobody is talking about that. And these are the people, like, news in today's political world, news has replaced church. Politics has replaced church or synagogue or mosque. It's replaced religion for people. People don't worship anymore, generally. I should say in the Democratic Party. They worship groupthink and whatever CNN and MSNBC says about Trump. They actually worship their emotions, that they worship the opposition to Trump, whether it's their visceral reaction or whatever it is, CNN or MSNBC or the Washington Post or the New York Times say about Trump. They worship the feelings they get. They get these feelings, these emotions, this psychological response to Trump, like he's this menace that reinforces who they are as good, morally superior liberals. See, they can't actually look at what they've done in terms of policies. They can't look at what they've done in terms of policies. And Shane, hello. Insubordinate, hello. Tammy, hello. They can't look at what they've done and say, okay, this is what we stand for. We stand for this. This is what we stand for. This is what we stand for. And we are very proud of what we've accomplished. They can't do that because they haven't accomplished anything. AOC's mandate when she was first elected was to get Medicare for all and a whole bunch of Green New Deal policies done, passed through Congress, or at least introduced. She introduced none of them. And a Green New Deal resolution it's completely meaningless. If you truly believe, see, this is where the racket comes in. If you truly believed that the world was going to end was going to end in 12 years, or the beginning of the end of the world would be in 12 years. Okay, if you truly believe that, you would draft legislation, vote on it immediately. Immediately. But they don't really believe. It's a racket. It's a very lucrative. You have to understand something. This is the way the Democratic Party works. Joe Biden and his son are prime examples. Okay? They're lifelong politicians. Okay, this is why they're not talking about Tony Navarrete in Arizona. This is why all of media is pretty much, there's like this silence about the most despicable story, because the truth about them is not as important as rumor about Republicans, or Trump, I should say, because Republicans are in on the racket also. The Never Trumpers are just as guilty as the Democratic Party. But this is how it works. You have a government-funded job as your salary and your paycheck. Like, I have more respect, a lot more respect, for people who work, like, for government agencies. Like, if you work for the IRS, I respect you. If you work for the law enforcement in the city, if you're sheriff, LA County Sheriff, I respect you 100%. LAPD, California Highway Patrol, I respect you. If you work for the post office, USPS, I respect you. If you get your money through tax dollars, and if you're a government employee, I respect you. You're working hard. Okay? If you're a politician, you're an actor generally. You see, Trump is not like this. He is an actor, but he delivers on his promises, and he doesn't care about the backlash. But generally, if you're a politician, if you're a government employee and you work every day and have to deal with a bureaucracy, I respect you. If you're a politician, and you don't deliver on your promises, and you make money off of emotion, I don't respect you. Trump delivers on his promises. He delivers on his major promises. That's a fact. We had record low unemployment. Don't say, well, it wasn't Trump. It happened during his presidency, right after the tax cuts, and there's a direct correlation between the tax cuts and a great economy. You can say, well, the tax cuts didn't really work. I'll take Trump's tax cuts and record low unemployment and wages increasing faster than a decade prior to what we have now. The Dallas Federal Reserve stated that that the tax cuts increased GDP by 1 percentage point. So they worked to an extent. Would they have worked long term? I don't know. We tanked the economy last year. They want to tank the economy again. Meanwhile, people are living in the left is unbelievable. They want to live in a bubble, except if it's President Obama's birthday. Then it's fine. They want everyone to live in a bubble. An economic, moral, scientific, pseudo-moralistic bubble. They want a liberal bubble around everyone. And everyone has to do exactly what they say, except people like Newsom and Mayor Bowser and Pelosi and President Obama and every liberal who doesn't do what is supposed. But they're sophisticated. They don't have no clue what the concept of hypocrisy is all about because they're too arrogant to even accept that there's a concept that would apply to them. They don't know they can't imagine being hypocrites because they're so arrogant. They don't think any of the standards they level upon others, any of the demands they make upon others, if they fail to live up to these demands, they don't view that as hypocrisy because they're such narcissists. So that's why you're immoral. Your viewpoint is immoral. Your support for Trump is immoral. Well, that's not true at all. That's absurd. None of the statements they make to justify their obscene behavior, like, well, everyone has to do this, and everyone has to do that, and everyone has to live. We have to tank the entire economy again. And you have to do this and that because of the experts. The experts are always wrong. They've been wrong from WMD to Clinton winning in a landslide to Trump tanking the world economy, which didn't happen. We had record low in unemployment. Wages were increasing faster than any year prior to President Trump, within a decade prior to Trump. We had manufacturing jobs that I think he had at one point close to 500,000 created. President Obama lost several 100,000 manufacturing jobs. So, but you have every single institution. Ben Shapiro brought this up on Bill Maher, and it's true. And Tim Pool has brought this up. Almost every institution, almost every government agency, every level of government now. If you live in a blue state, your mayor, your governor, your senators, the president, the House of Representatives, and the United States Senate are all Democrats. And your life is worse than it was under President Trump. Worse. Objectively worse, generally. Objectively worse. And how many people have lost their lives under Biden? Notice they don't blame Biden. Notice they don't politicize the demise of hundreds of thousands. I think it's like, close to 200,000 Americans while Biden's been in office. It's been 7 months, 6 or 7 months now since he's been in office. You want to count when he, I guess you can't count when he won. So when he was from January 20th till today, been 7 months? So you have this groupthink. It's like when somebody says experts say, that is a meaningless statement. It is when someone says you should do something, that is a meaningless statement. You should completely disregard that because you have to decide what's best for you economically, morally, spiritually, in terms of anything. Politically, you decide what's best for you. You don't listen to others because their vantage point is being yelled and screeched and amplified by if the entire world says jump off a cliff, don't do it. They're wrong. The merit of an argument is not bolstered by how many people are screeching and yelling out the argument. And facts, reason, logic, they don't have to be mandated. People can decipher what's right and wrong for them. Everyone has a different life. Everyone has a completely different life. Different circumstances. Even people within the same social circle have completely different lives. And you have to decide what's best for you in life. Economically, politically, morally, spiritually. Politics and religion are two things I was always told never talk about growing up. Okay? And look, you have this kind of, if something is right for you, then you should, if something is right for you and it'll help your life, then you should decide if that's right for you. You should decide if that's good for you. You should decide. Free will is the enemy of all Democrats. It really is, because their arguments don't stand the test of time. They change up their arguments all the time, and their arguments are dependent upon forcing you to abide by their demands. They cannot convince you generally about anything. Trump worked with Russia, or they can't convince you because they're full of nonsense most of the time. It's an apoplectic, hysterical reaction. Like they're not getting what they want, so they'll accuse you of, or Trump or Trump supporters of things that are absurd. Like they'll make a leap of logic that they don't utilize upon themselves. They don't make the same leaps of logic when they're caught with their hands in the cookie jar. And it's like the arguments of most liberal, morally superior liberal Democrats rely upon this notion that if everyone doesn't listen to them on any topic, like an example, Trump is tarnishing democracy. You're helping Trump tarnish democracy. Your support for Trump is hurting me. They make absurd leaps of logic that can't be backed up by fact. Because Trump didn't work with Russia. That's a tinfoil hat, irrational theory that only a fool would believe. And when you ask them, well, why isn't Trump indicted? Why don't you charge him in a court of law? Why are we still talking about shutting down the economy a year and a half after everything? I thought you were right. I thought without everyone listened to the experts. Everyone. They're still talking about Trump tarnishing democracy. He's not even in office. Like, this will not work. It will be 2024. What are they going to say? It's Trump's fault? He's not in politics now. He's like this is the thing. In 2022, you'll have Trump Republicans take over the House. In 2022, you'll have Trump Republicans take over the House, but it's like until then, they're not. What are they going to do? We have a world, a society, where only certain people. If you're President Obama, you can enjoy life as if nothing's going on and everything's fine. If, for example, Trump had the same, it would be the biggest atrocity of all time. Oh my God! Oh my God! Then you have this phenomenon, and I've experienced this in my life, where people they've become these vampires, these zombies, these these vampires. They become these vampires, and it's like this bug. They're consumed with this viewpoint that is completely irrational. I don't care. Here's the thing. I don't care if you like Trump. I don't care if you despise him. I don't care if you vote for Biden. I don't care if you vote Green Party. I don't care if you're a socialist or a democratic socialist or a communist. I don't care. Your arguments will win if they're backed up by facts and logic and reason. You don't have to get upset if people don't trust you. That's another thing. Trump Republicans or Trump, they don't care who you are, what you think. They don't care what you do with your life. It's Democrats who obsess over what everyone does with their lives because all of their policies never work out. It's the same with Second Amendment. Oh, well, it didn't work out because it's coming from another state. And it's like criminals don't care. You could do people have free will. This is a concept that eradicates or tarnishes or completely undermines, obliterates liberal Democratic Party ideology. The ideology of liberal Democrats is completely undermined by the concept of free will. People have free will. And this is grotesque to morally superior Democrats. Roger Rabbit! Yeah! Roger Rabbit! One of the great names in this channel's history. Great movie. Great movie. One of the great movies of the 80s. And let me tell you something. Roger Rabbit. The actual, I don't know what's wrong with me. Or, when you see the graphics, the technology of Roger Rabbit. And you'll see, the actual, the actors. And they're, talking, Space Jam or whatever, Roger Rabbit. That's, the state-of-the-art technology to me. You can have any, amazing graphics as today. I'm whatever. Roger Rabbit's state-of-the-art for me. Roger Rabbit starting it off. Thank you so very much. Oh, I'm sorry, Sean starting it off. And Roger Rabbit, thank you so very, very much. I can't do these without you, so I appreciate it. But it's they have the ideology, left-leaning ideology is predicated upon feeling morally superior. They have this fetish about feeling morally superior, not actually being morally superior or even moral. Everything is this very distorted, warped calculus where if they go up to Tucker Carlson and they tell Tucker, you're a horrible human being. So many people have been misinformed by you. Tucker Carlson does not have the power or influence to misinform anyone. If he deliberately tells somebody to do something criminal, then he's liable. Other than that, or deliberately does something to, like, in a court of law, nothing Tucker Carlson has ever said on the air can be deemed illegal or, criminal. He's protected. Free speech means literally nothing to the left. Nothing. Roger Rabbit, thank you. Liberal Democrats generally think that Republicans or Trump Republicans or Green Party people, or this is the way. I'll give you the key to the matrix. I'll give you the pill, the key, whatever. This is why they act the way they do. I know, because I was on the left my whole life. They think that you think like them. They think that you're easily influenced or gullible, or, you have no free will, like they don't have any free will. So they think that you will believe that you are opposing them because you're believing someone else's thoughts. They don't realize that you have your own viewpoint that actually differs from their viewpoint. They can't fathom anyone disagreeing with them, because their emotions and, like, facts, reason, logic, and their emotions are all weighted in the same manner. Like, their visceral reaction to Trump is an actual fact. The negative emotions they have against Trump, that's actually as important as any fact or data or, objective truth is actually linked directly to gossip and hearsay or what Trump could have done, because they despise him so much. So if you say, like, there's no evidence Trump worked with Russia, there's no evidence Tucker Carlson, caused anyone to lose their life, there's no evidence that this policy works, they can't handle that. They simply can't handle that. And so, like, thank you, Paul Bartlett. Thank you so much. I hope all is well. So that's why they get so upset. They make grandiose claims that can't be backed up. So if indeed Trump is tarnishing democracy, then you could probably get him on a crime. If democracy is simply their opinion on how things should be, then they're not right. That's why they have to get all of these theories. Like when President Obama, you had 8 years of President Obama, it was the absolute worst for liberal Democratic Party ideology. It disproved all of their viewpoints based on grievances. Now, all of these, like, prejudice exists, of course. The R word exists, of course, yes. Lots of ills in society exist. Lots of things. There's not a society in the world where prejudice will be eradicated. So, of course, it exists. But if there's systemic issues, what political party demands obedience from the people who suffer from these systemic issues? Oh, that's right. Democrats demand blind allegiance, and they'll say you're not who you are if you don't vote for them. And they still haven't done anything about the systemic issues. It doesn't matter 8 years of President Obama or 2 years of Democrats in the House. All they care about is impeaching Trump and blaming him for, accusing him of working with Russia or pressuring Zelensky. It's like they can't get him on anything that's like actually, they really can't get him on anything that is, they can't get him on anything that is criminal. They try to, and they can't. You would think that if he's this scourge on this planet, like, indict him already, get him on something. If you can't get Trump on something, why don't you quiet down? Because you're losing credibility every second, every hour, every day, every minute of every hour, of every day, of every week. You're losing credibility. But they don't care. Look, they have almost every single media outlet is going to see the world in one way, and still half the country, 75 million Americans, say, yeah, no, we don't believe that. We don't believe that. And it's like they're impervious to when their policies don't work, whether it's defund police, which, by the way, they were so proud of it. Then everyone said, this is ludicrous. Then they said, well, it doesn't really mean what it means. They don't believe in anything. When AOC wrote the Green New Deal, it was like, yay, look. And they're like, oh, we don't believe that, really. I mean, come on. It's like, they don't believe. Look at President Obama's birthday party. They don't believe. Look at Newsom. Look at Pelosi. Look at Mayor Bowser. They don't believe their hysterical, like maniacal demands they place on society. They don't believe any of it. It's a racket. They make money off of hysteria. The Republicans did this in the early 2000s. They made a lot of money, and they were able to generate a lot of political influence from hysteria and fear and paranoia. The Republicans did this in the early 2000s. And now Democrats are doing this. Republicans, I remember when CNN was echoing the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld talking points. Oh my God, CNN is like this easily, you can easily refute any of the CNN hosts, but it's like they were doing the same dystopian, nightmarish comedy routine almost, like, morbid comedy, where they were just parroting Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld talking points and doing the same kind of morality play. If you don't listen to them, you're immoral. But the problem is they lack morality in themselves. They don't really understand what right or wrong is because they're so focused on trying to convince you at all costs. This is like when they say trust the experts, or when they say you're sowing distrust. These are meaningless, absolutely, not only vapid, they're meaningless. You're not supposed to just blindly trust anybody when it comes to something important in your life. You're supposed to do your own research, and you're supposed to tailor you're supposed to decide on how you will live your life based on what's good for you. Since I don't know you and Biden doesn't know you, neither one of us have a right to tell you what to do with your life. Because it's your life, and I don't know you. Neither does Biden. Neither do I, by the way. I want you all right now to hop on one foot and start juggling flaming bowling pins while balancing on a porpoise in the ocean. Do it right now. If you don't do it, big problem. You see? The problem was with you, not me. I said flaming bowling pins. You should live your life the way you want to live your life. And ignore Fox News, ignore MSNBC, or pick and choose what makes sense to you. You pick and choose what makes sense to you. You can I look at President Trump. Do I agree? Do I like everything he said? No. Do I think some of the things, look, I don't agree with LeBron James on politics, but he was wrong to go after LeBron James because he's important to American culture. Even if you disagree that he's that important, he's still important. So it was bad for President Trump to go after NFL athletes. Even if I agree with Trump on that topic, it's bad because it sends the wrong message. He could have simply said, I disagree, and here's why, in an eloquent way. There was no point. See, this is the thing. Everyone knows where Trump stands. There was no point in that because then they ran with it. Media ran with it. Mike Pasqua! Mike, thank you so very much, as always. Greatly appreciated, Mike. Almost every live stream. I really appreciate it, Mike. Thank you. God bless you, Mrs. Perkins. Thank you. Robbie, hello. Thank you, Mike. Greatly appreciated. I appreciate that very much. Every live stream, I really appreciate that. Mike Pasquat, thank you. Thank you. It means a great deal to me, and I appreciate your support. But it's like you're looking at a world now where when everyone says one thing and you disagree with them, they get angry. Can you hear me, ladies and gentlemen? Can you hear me? CNN, MSNBC, suck hello! Love Kirby Puckett, sign, huge Twins fan, yes! CNN and MSNBC, suck hello! Hello! Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. You know, those were the days when, I mean, the 90s, the 80s and 90s, I would say the early 2000s, I mean, you know, baseball's still great now, but it's like Major League Baseball, you know, you see they move their All-Star games. Are you kidding me? Kirby Puckett was awesome. He was a great fielder, great hitter, clutch hitter, hit that great home run and go at his Game 6 to take it into Game 7 of the 91 World Series. 87, he was a two-time World Series champ. Kirby Puckett was one of the great players of all time. Love Kirby Puckett. And he was like, he would hit, his strike zone was like, there was no, he would hit balls like here, down to the ground. Like, he was just amazing. Thank you so much. CNN, MSNBC, thank you so very much. Greatly appreciated. You look here and it's like, just type in Trump. It's like, you would think, do you think the news cares about what an Arizona state senator? Like, if it was a Republican state senator, you better believe it would be all over the news. Vox, Trump's infrastructure sabotage has been a failure in the Senate. Like, nobody cares. Can anyone explain how the infrastructure... Let's look at the infrastructure bill. I just want to... Can you explain how on earth is this going to help our country? How on earth? Like, they're like, what can we do? What did FDR do? Okay, we'll just try to repeat it in 2021. Maybe that'll be good. Okay, so here. It's 465 pages. Oh, no, what am I saying? It's like 2,415 pages. Revenue raisers. So here, it's like, what is, okay, so, okay, key, let's say benefits. How is this going to benefit? The American Jobs Plan. Fix highways, rebuild bridges, upgrade ports. That's supposed to be for states to, these are jobs, these are decisions that states should make. I mean, well, I guess there's federal highways, fine, and there's federal projects, okay. So, how many people are going to be employed from that? We have generally a service economy in this country. Deliver clean drinking water, renewed electric grid, and high-speed broadband. Okay, how many jobs is that? Okay, build, preserve, and retrofit more than 2 million homes. Again, how many? Okay, that's this is like one sector. Construction, one sector of the economy. What other sectors of the economy are going to be helped out? You think like, Rose Twitter and even, morally superior conservatives are going to be clamoring for whether it's like morally the never Trumpers and the far left, they're not going to be clamoring to do this work. So it's like revitalize manufacturing. Trump was doing that. We're close to 500,000 manufacturing jobs. It's unbelievable. Create good quality jobs. This is like going to be a catastrophe. Build world-class transportation. They can't even do that on a state level. A lot of states. Transform our crumbling transportation infrastructure. Okay, so this will be very good for construction, but not everybody, most Americans aren't in construction. So make infrastructure more resilient. Oh my God. They just established the United States as a leader in climate science, innovation, and R&D. I thought we were already the leader in that. Oh my God. Eliminate inequities. Oh, that should be very profitable. It's against the law to be, prejudiced anyway. This is like, this is going to be a complete failure. It's going to be a complete and utter failure. Unreal invented 2006. Hello. Thank you. How on earth is this going to help? How on earth is this going to help anybody? I don't get the aside from the groupthink, which is normal. How on earth is this going to help the entire economy? The economy is just not just like, construction or manufacturing was doing well under President Trump, better than under President Obama. And the tariffs were pushed by steel CEOs, by other manufacturing CEOs. So it's like, it's really unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. You had manufacturing jobs. It was like at one point 500,000 new manufacturing jobs under President Trump. You had 200,000 lost under President Obama. And was he perfect, Trump? No, he wasn't perfect. That's okay, though. Like, it's not about, like, the thing when they say, well, Trump didn't do this and he didn't do that. It's like, well, why? He was investigated by his own political party. That's the thing. The political party is going to change in 2022. Then you'll see the same vitriol. I'm telling you, if Trump passes the baton to DeSantis, and DeSantis is then the nominee, there are going to be articles why Trump is even better, why Trump was less authoritarian, why even Trump was less authoritarian than DeSantis. Meanwhile, DeSantis is like, yeah, we're going to allow society to function so you don't have to live in your basement, and like, you're responsible for risk assessment, and no, you can't prove that someone else's behavior affects your life. No, you can't prove that at all, because you had mayors in every city of the country, saying they were going to shut down water and power from houses being used for parties, like speakeasies during Prohibition. You cannot control. People have free will. That's why Democrats get so upset. That's why the entire public relations machine descends upon anyone. That disagrees with, like they do it to the left also. If they do it, look what they do. Look what they've done to Jimmy Dore. Look what they've done to Tim Pool. It doesn't work. It only amplifies their voice. And there are certain people on a much smaller scale that tried to do it to me. Didn't work. If you care about them, it works. So like all the hit pieces on me, they actually helped me in the long run. I mean, even though like there were times where I was thinking, should I get a lawyer? Because this is completely unethical. But then it was like, you know what? It doesn't work. I got the expert advice saying, yeah, they're wrong here, and that, but it's your call. So I was like, at the end of the day, it wasn't worth it, because what they try to do is silence you. And what they end up doing is just showing how miserable they are. The definition of misery, of a miserable human being, is seeing somebody who has a different vantage point and not tackling the vantage point or opposing the opinion with logic or reason. Trying to disparage or demean the person, smear the person. That's the problem. That's why they go after Jimmy Dore. That's why they go after Tim Pool, because the Matrix, the computer program, the AI computer program that's running our country, I'm joking, but it's about defend Democratic Party at all costs, defend Democrat. And you have, oh my God, you have the far left doing it. It's defend Democratic Party at all costs, defend Democratic Party at all costs. They want, their whole thing is, if you say something that could be interpreted or could be utilized to undermine the Democratic Party, it is the most horrible thing in the world. That's the most horrible thing in the world. They definitely don't want, like, when you look at the critique of Tulsi Gabbard, you look at the critique of Bernie Sanders when he was actually relevant, like an actual opposition. It was always, they're going to enable Republicans to win. It's not whether their policies are legitimate, or their vantage point is legitimate. It's they're causing discontent or discord, or they're causing people to distrust, to not believe, sowing distrust. That's what they say. Ronald Foos, as always. Thank you. Bombastic Bushkin, hello. Ronald Foos, thank you as well for the super thanks, Ronald. Thank you for the super thanks as well. And always for your support. Thank you so much. Ronald Foos, thank you. I hope all is well. I can't do this without you, so I do appreciate the support, everybody. But this notion, Ronald, everybody here, this notion that says, like, if you don't do this, you're a bad person. Like, you don't know. You have no clue who you're talking to. This is why Twitter is such a horrible platform. It's this fleeting, vapid, meaningless, emotional outburst that gets amplified by the same seals that clap, the same mindless mindless seals. They just mindlessly clap like zombies. And they think that is They think that is they think that is like morality in this day and age. Like, and they're like completely stunned that people don't agree with them. or that people don't listen to them. So then they make the absurd leaps of logic. You are causing people to lose their lives with misinformation. The rebuttal is, you cannot prove this, and your vantage point is flawed for a number of reasons, and here you go. Do you have maybe a half an hour for me to explain why your vantage point is so flawed? This is, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, the Bush administration, the Lincoln Project, and there are some publications run by, there's one publication run by Bill Kristol, who, by the way, he and others were against gay marriage, and they crusaded against, they were basically, if in today's world, if their policy and viewpoints were widely publicized, they would be canceled in 2 seconds. Well, that's assuming that the liberal Democratic Party political establishment, or the liberal establishment in general, would actually utilize the same standard of judgment upon, people that are momentarily aligned with them. But you have, like, the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld Republicans who were against gay marriage, who wanted every single military intervention that didn't work out, that caused hundreds of thousands of PTSD and traumatic brain injuries and injuries. If Trump compelled or incited people, then what is Bill Kristol to blame for all the tragic, horrendous concept, or the Lincoln Project people? Are they to blame also for all the horrendous counterinsurgency conflicts that they pushed with their lack of their hysterical and irrational and failed attempts at being foreign policy experts? They were wrong on everything. These people fall upwards. You have to understand. We have the only society in the world where you can actually fail as a politician or fail as an expert and still get a tremendous following. These are foreign policy experts that have never been right on foreign policy, ever. In fact, they've been tragically wrong. Yet they remove themselves from culpability and then blame Trump, even though they can't prove it in a court of law. Nobody could prove that they're responsible also in a court of law. That's what's interesting about free speech. Thank God we still have some level of free speech. That might be going away. Jean-Louis Blackburn. Jean-Louis, thank you very much, Jean-Louis. By the way, thank you for the super chat, super thanks as well. Jean-Louis, thank you. Chairman Mao demanded tearful apologies from scientists who had cited laws of physics. Here we go again. Yep. And it's and this is why, Jean-Louis Blackburn, this is why you have such groupthink, because they're afraid of when you have every element of society, like if you had politics, Jean-Louis, everybody here, if you had politics, if you just had politics the way that we're used to, like the way that we had the type of discourse we had prior to 2016, Democrats would not win on a national level or even a state level. They need every single possible advantage now, and they know this, because with Clinton versus Trump, there was some modicum of objectivity, and they realized, oh my God, if we are even somewhat objective, if we think, that's how they think. Of course, we have the OBS not working. Is everything okay can you hear me, ladies and gentlemen? Somebody wrote, So every time you say they can't prove, it's not about sounding guilty. It's about proving guilt. You have to prove that Trump worked with Russia. If you cannot prove Trump worked with Russia, why continue talking about it? It's such an overt racket on the left. It's such an overt racket. If he's that bad, prove it in a court of law. Oh, okay, you're making it up? That's another story. If you're just making it up, say, look, we don't mean any of it. We just don't like him. So we're just going to blame him for everything, everything under the sun. We're going to blame him for everything. It's like it kind of, you have to look at it, ladies and gentlemen. You have to look at it in the following manner. You have to look at what if Democrats didn't have Twitter? What if they didn't have Twitter? How would their policies, what if the left, would Medicare for all be like, who would be talking about it now? It's a noble policy. It would be nice. It would be very nice if they could actually stand by what they pretend to believe in. So, like, how would their Green New Deal or like student debt or infrastructure, or what is it that they stand for? I don't know. Contempt for Trump. That's what they really stand for. So, would people really dislike Trump that much if they didn't have Twitter? If they didn't have every single media outlet still focusing on Trump, would people still dislike him as much? Of course not. Of course not. They would then be forced to look at Biden. Is President Biden doing anything to better this country? I want to know. There are certain things actually that he did here and there. I'll give him that. But in terms of the economy, in terms of foreign policy, you see he's more militant than Trump. And if he doesn't abide by what President Trump his negotiated deal to bring Americans home, he will have had a completely failed presidency. Jean-Louis, thank you again. We live life, ladies and gentlemen. This is like another bizarre phenomenon. There are a million ways to lose your life in the world. It's like a Bond movie. Isn't that the name of a Bond movie? But there are so many ways to, if you don't succumb to the fear and paranoia and mania, the more afraid you are in our society, the more moral, the greater morality, or the more accepted you are. If you the more apoplectic you are, the better of a human being you are to morally superior liberals. Oh, that person who went up to Tucker Carlson, he was a good human being. It's you think that I would be happy or proud that a supporter of President Trump would go up to anyone at CNN or MSNBC? Of course not. I wouldn't be happy at all. I'd be like, why did you do that? That makes everybody look bad. It makes everybody look bad. Anyone who supports Trump will look very bad if a person goes up to anyone and you better believe that somebody going up to an MSNBC or CNN pundit, that would be, oh my God, it would be the end of the world. It wouldn't be championed in the manner that it wouldn't be championed in the manner that it was championed with Trump. I mean, with Tucker Carlson. I've heard it wasn't really legit. But my whole thing is, let's say, okay, if it is legit, I mean, I think the man lives there, and my whole thing is that you can't run away. You can't go to Montana. You can't go to Montana, Really? You can even in Montana there's like TDS? Really? Let's see, Montana fishermen. A Montana fly fisherman. You get. I mean, what percentage of that in the fishing supply store? What percentage of people voted for Trump? Probably the majority of the store, vast majority. And then he had somebody film him. It's like unbelievable. I just want to tell you, Tucker Carlson, I just want to tell you, you're a horrible human being. Your misinformation has led to so many lives lost. How can you prove this? How on earth can you prove any of this? How can you? So if that's the case, then can you take Tucker Carlson? Is he wanted for crimes, for thought crimes? We have freedom of speech in this country. Deal with it. My God, what happened? What happened to people's ability to accept viewpoints that are different from their own and actually form a rebuttal without like this hysterical, almost criminal reaction? Like you can't just go up to somebody. And there's a lot of people if you go up to, it's like not going to end well. I'm talking about people of all backgrounds. Okay, it doesn't matter who you are. You don't know, like, you have no clue if you go up to somebody. It doesn't matter who they are. You have no clue how that person's going to react. It's good that he went up to Tucker Carlson because Tucker Carlson, knows how to handle that situation. But this is like the unbelievable thing. Like you have two women who pled guilty. I did a segment on this to taking a kid's "Make America Great Again" hat away from him. Like, why would you do that? How do you benefit from that? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. I think I'm going to head on out to my super chat. Thank you. Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I will be back early tomorrow, probably about 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. Not for a live stream, but for an upload. So that if you're in Florida, Eric, that's 7, 8 your time. So I don't know how early people get up, but if you're up at like 7 or 8 p.m. in the East Coast, or 8 a.m. in the East Coast, thank you, Roger Rabbit. Thank you. I'll probably have an upload. So ladies and gentlemen, God bless. To my super chat, thank you so very much. Eric and Luke, thank you. Everybody here, thank you so much. And have a great, great evening, everybody. Thanks so much, everybody.